Hi, this is Robert Pagliarini, and this week's column is 4 tips to change your life and to create a personal revolution. So if you've been following the news at all lately, you've noticed that in the Middle East, a lot of countries, a lot of the citizens are uprising. They're revolting against the status quo. Everywhere from Egypt to Morocco to Libya to, and if you looked at today's news, Wisconsin. So here's the story. They're all trying to revolt against something. And when I first started looking at this, 2 questions really struck me. The first was, why now? You know, some of these dictators have been in power for 3 or 4 decades. And so what has happened now in order for them to make the change? And the second question is, why wait 30 or 40 years? Like, why not do it earlier? And so when I started thinking about this, I realized that whether you're uprising against an oppressor or whether you're trying to make a change in your own life, we all have sort of this similar roadblock before us. And the roadblock is that we weren't meant to achieve success. We weren't meant to achieve riches. Our bodies are really designed to do one thing and one thing only, and that is to survive. That's how we've been able to live for generations and generations and hundreds of thousands of years, to be able to just survive. And so we have this gap, sort of this struggle between surviving and really thriving. And so here are 4 tips for how you can create your own sort of personal revolution. The first is to stop looking up and to start looking down. What I mean by that is, in order for an uprising to occur, you have to kind of hit bottom. Things have to be so bad that you look at the situation, you say, you know what, something has to give. I've got to do something different. And so that's why hitting bottom can actually be a really positive thing. The second step is live in the gap. So instead of letting decades go by where you're sort of just in this middle ground, you haven't hit bottom yet, you're just kind of existing, you're kind of surviving, you're just kind of getting by. If you want to speed the process up, live in the gap. What I mean by live in the gap is the distance between where you are and where you want to be. And so we all have these gaps in our life. Maybe the gap is your health. Maybe it's your weight. Maybe it's your finances. Maybe the gap is in a relationship. Here's where it is, and here's really where you want it to be. And so there's this gap here, and this gap can be frustrating. It can cause you to get angry, to be resentful. And you know what? That's good. I want you to live in the gap, because when you're in that gap, when you're feeling these emotions, it's going to cause you to take some action. It'll help you hit bottom a little bit quicker, so you can then turn it around and start to move up. The next tip for creating your own personal revolution is to go for big change. I mean, think about it. Any uprising, any revolution, it's not about little insignificant things. It's about big, huge, major change. And so if you want to get that spark, if you want to do something that really is impactful in your life, it's got to be big. It's got to be a huge, huge change in order for you to sort of get off the couch and to get moving. It's got to be a big payoff at the end. And the final tip is to find a friend. You know what's really interesting throughout this whole Middle East situation is that it started with one country, and then all of a sudden it spread to another country, and another country, and another country. And it's like this domino effect. And why is that? It's because people want to see other people doing what they want to do. They want to see that other people are succeeding. And when they do, they look at that and they go, wow, you know what? They're doing it, so why can't I do it? And so that's why it's so helpful when you're trying to create personal change in your own life, is to find someone to partner with, someone to struggle with, and someone to succeed with. And so those are the 4 tips. You can check out the entire column at yourother8hours.com, and look forward to seeing you next week. Take care.